Burnout isn't just a modern nuisance. It's the silent epidemic crushing America's workforce. We've all seen it. People glued to their screens, firing off emails at 10 p.m., drowning in Slack notifications, and somehow expected to hustle harder. The corporate obsession with pseudo-productivity has left everyone running in circles, measuring success by how busy they look, not by what they achieve. This toxic cycle eats away at creativity, energy, and even our health. If everyone's pretending to be productive, how much actual work is getting done? Maybe it's time to stop worshiping the grind and start asking ourselves the real question. Are we achieving anything meaningful or just perfecting the art of being busy? Do fewer things at once. At first glance, it sounds like a lazy person's excuse, but science and sanity suggest otherwise. Multitasking, that so-called badge of honor, is a cognitive nightmare. Every time you switch tasks, you leave behind a trail of attention residue, making each job harder than the last. The irony? People who slow down often accomplish more, with fewer mistakes and less stress. Still, the idea of slowing down feels rebellious in a world that equates busyness with worth. If doing less means doing better, why does our culture fight so hard against it? Isn't it time to rethink what success really looks like? Once upon a time, life moved with the seasons. You worked hard in the spring, harvested in the fall, and rested in winter. Simple, balanced, human. Fast forward to today, and every season feels like a chaotic race with no finish line in sight. This nonstop hustle isn't just unnatural, it's unsustainable. People are exhausted, joking that they need a doctor's note to take a break. Yet history shows that embracing natural rhythms, not just at work but in life, leads to better results and happier people. So, why are we still sprinting through a marathon? If slowing down could improve both productivity and well-being, why does the system push us to the brink instead? Quality over quantity might be an old saying, but in today's rush-driven world, it feels like a radical idea. Imagine a workplace where you're encouraged to slow down, focus, and create something truly meaningful. Sounds nice, right? But reality has other plans. For many, aiming for quality gets you labeled as slow or too meticulous, while rushing half-baked work to meet deadlines is celebrated. Still, people who embrace this mindset often deliver results that stand the test of time. The question is, how do we balance perfectionism with practicality? Can we define what's good enough before we burn ourselves out trying to achieve the impossible? Why does it seem like every time someone suggests a healthier work-life balance, the corporate machine digs in its heels? For years, companies have chased short-term gains, demanding more hours, faster output, and less room for human needs. People in the trenches see it every day. Quality work gets overshadowed by quantity, and burnout becomes the norm. Ironically, studies and common sense show that happier employees create better results. Yet, corporations cling to their old ways, squeezing every drop of energy from their teams. If prioritizing people could lead to long-term success, why are so many leaders blind to the opportunity? Are profits really worth more than the well-being of the workforce driving them? Multitasking isn't the superpower it's cracked up to be. It's the great lie of modern work culture. Sure, it might feel productive to juggle 5 tasks at once, but in reality, it's a recipe for stress and sloppy results. People who refuse to play the multitasking game are often seen as too slow, yet their work consistently outshines the rush chaos of their peers. The truth? Quality takes time, and trying to do everything at once ensures you do nothing well. So why are we still glorifying this broken system? Isn't it time to value focus and depth over the shallow illusion of speed? Once, work flowed with the rhythm of the seasons. People planted in spring, harvested in fall, and slowed down during winter, a natural cycle that balanced effort and rest. Today, it's a relentless grind, every season packed with unrealistic deadlines and constant pressure to perform. Many reflect on how we've lost the art of pacing ourselves, turning what used to be natural breaks into guilt-ridden downtime. Rest has become a luxury, not a necessity. But what if reconnecting with seasonal rhythms could make us more productive and less burned out? Would embracing these cycles help us find a healthier balance? Or is modern work culture too far gone to remember what real rest feels like? Is slow productivity a personal choice, or does real change require a systemic overhaul? For many, the answer is clear. It's impossible to embrace balance when the entire system rewards speed and punishes rest. Commenters pointed out that slow productivity feels like a privilege for those at the top, professors, entrepreneurs, or people with secure jobs, while nurses, retail workers, and others in demanding roles don't get that luxury. But isn't it unfair to place the responsibility for change solely on individuals? Until organizations stop chasing immediate profits and start valuing sustainable practices, how can anyone truly slow down? The bigger question is, can we reshape the system to work for everyone, or are we destined to keep leaving people behind in the race for productivity? Perfectionism sounds admirable, but in practice, it's a double-edged sword. Many shared how striving for perfection often left them drained, while co-workers who settled for good enough were rewarded for their speed. It's a frustrating paradox. Caring deeply about your work can sometimes feel like a disadvantage in systems that prioritize volume over value. And yet, the satisfaction of knowing you've done your absolute best is unmatched. So, where's the line between aiming high and burning out? Should we settle for mediocrity just to survive? Or is it possible to create a world where excellence and balance coexist? Let's face it, slow productivity might sound great, but not everyone can afford it. For those working in fast-paced industries like healthcare, retail, or customer service, the luxury of taking things slow simply doesn't exist. Many people express frustration over how advice meant for high-status professionals doesn't apply to those struggling to meet basic expectations in the workplace. It's easy to talk about quality and balance when you have the flexibility to make choices. But when you're scrambling to keep up with constant demands, the pressure to multitask and work faster becomes overwhelming. So, is slow productivity just a fantasy for the privileged few? Or is there a way to make this approach work for everyone? And if not, is it time to rethink how we define success in the modern workplace? Multitasking has been sold as the ultimate workplace skill, but it's really a productivity killer in disguise. People shared how they've been pressured to juggle multiple tasks at once, only to produce mediocre results. It's easy to feel like you're achieving more, but the truth is multitasking spreads focus thin and leads to mistakes. The result? Burnout, frustration, and resentment. Meanwhile, those who resist multitasking often end up doing better work but face criticism for being too slow. So, why are we still rewarding the illusion of speed instead of real, focused effort? When did quality get overshadowed by the endless drive for quantity? Maybe it's time to reevaluate what productivity really looks like in the modern world. The reality is all the slow productivity in the world won't make a difference unless leadership changes its mindset. Many people express frustration over corporate leaders who talk about work-life balance, but still reward endless hours and fast, superficial results. The irony is that leaders who embrace slower, more deliberate productivity often see better long-term outcomes and happier teams. But getting them to see this isn't easy. Most leaders are trapped in a cycle of profit chasing, valuing speed over sustainability. So, what would it take to shift the culture? Can it start with top leadership embracing a new, healthier approach, or do we need to break free from old models one employee at a time? When companies refuse to embrace slow productivity, they're not just ignoring a productivity strategy, they're paying the price in human terms. Employees are burned out, frustrated, and overworked with little to show for it. Many shared how they'd been pushed to their limits, only to be replaced by someone willing to play the speed game, no matter the cost. Ironically, those who took the time to slow down and focus on quality often ended up creating the most meaningful results. But in a world where faster is always better, when do we start asking, are we building something sustainable or just piling up burnout for the next generation? We've built a culture that glorifies hustle. But at what cost? People are pushed to their breaking points, chasing the next deadline, answering emails at 2 a.m., and constantly battling exhaustion. While some argue that the hustle culture is necessary to succeed, others are waking up to the fact that it's costing us more than we realize: our health, our relationships, and our sense of fulfillment. So, what's the true cost of glorifying hustle? Is it really worth sacrificing mental and physical well-being just to meet someone else's expectations of success? Maybe it's time to redefine what success really means and start looking at work in a healthier light. Success in the workplace doesn't have to mean working yourself to the bone. Many shared their frustration with the old notion of success, where long hours and constant busyness were the gold standard. Today, it's clear this model is outdated and it's time for a change. True success isn't about how many tasks you can check off in a day, but about the quality of the work you produce and how sustainable your efforts are. If we could shift the focus from just doing more to doing things that matter, wouldn't the workplace be healthier and more productive? Can we finally embrace a new definition of success that values balance and quality over hustle and burnout? The future of work shouldn't be about burning out or constantly rushing to meet deadlines. It should be about creating meaningful, high-quality work while also preserving our well-being. As we've seen, slow productivity isn't just a luxury for the few. It's a necessity for a sustainable, fulfilling career. The question remains, are we willing to change the way we work to prioritize quality over quantity? Are we ready to challenge the hustle culture that has dominated our lives for so long? If we keep pushing ourselves to the limit, will we ever stop to ask if we're truly living or just running in circles? Let's start this conversation and rethink what it means to succeed. What do you think? Can we create a workplace that values balance, quality, and well-being? Or is the system too far gone to change?